Hey there, night dwellers. Join the Phantom Troupe for a serene escape into dreamland with enchanting sleep stories. Let the calming tales transport you to a world of peaceful slumber and restful nights.
Hey there, earthly adventurers. I'm Gabriel, your guide through the uncharted territories of mystery and ancient wonders right here on our home planet. It's a pleasure to have you on this journey with me. Tonight, we're diving into a thrilling exploration that intertwines tales of extraterrestrial intrigue and the enigmatic secrets of ancient civilizations. Before we immerse ourselves in this captivating narrative, take a moment to release the weight of the day's events. Inhale deeply, allowing the earthly concerns to fade away. Exhale, embracing the comforting calm that surrounds you. As we embark on this mysterious tale set on our own planet, picture yourself on the edge of anticipation, eager to unravel the secrets that Earth holds. The story we're about to unfold draws inspiration from real-life mysteries and unsolved legends, creating a tapestry of intrigue that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Feel the tension in your muscles dissipate with each breath. With the day behind you and a sense of relaxation setting in, let the excitement of Earth's unknown mysteries heighten your senses. Together, we'll navigate through the twists and turns of this suspenseful narrative right here on our home turf. Now, as the world around you fades away and the mystery unfolds on Earth, allow the soothing rhythm of my voice to guide you into a tranquil state. Stay tuned as we step into the mysterious unknown, where every moment holds the promise of revelation, right here on our familiar yet mysterious planet. Cape Girardeau, a small city located on the Mississippi River in southeastern Missouri, was a relatively quiet and modest town in the early 1940s. The United States was on the verge of entering World War II, but it was still several months before the attack on Pearl Harbor would thrust the nation fully into the conflict. The cultural climate at the time was one of tension, and military concerns were increasingly at the forefront of the American consciousness. In this context, any kind of aviation accident or military incident would likely have drawn attention, though the alleged UFO crash would have been entirely outside the realm of everyday understanding. According to the story, the Cape Girardeau UFO incident began late one night in the spring of 1941. A local Baptist minister named William Huffman was contacted by authorities and asked to come to the site of a plane crash outside of town. As a man of faith, Huffman's presence was requested to administer last rites or spiritual comfort to the victims. At the time, aviation crashes were rare, but not unheard of, especially with increasing military flight activity in the lead-up to the U.S.'s involvement in World War II. However, upon arriving at the scene, Huffman allegedly discovered something far more extraordinary than a routine aviation disaster. Instead of a downed airplane, he saw the wreckage of what he would later describe as a metallic, saucer-shaped craft. The story claims that the craft had crashed in a rural area outside Cape Girardeau, scattering debris across a field. The most shocking element of the tale, and the one that has fueled its longevity in UFO lore, is the alleged discovery of alien bodies near the wreckage. Huffman reportedly witnessed several small, humanoid figures lying on the ground. These beings, described as having large heads, small bodies, and oversized eyes, bore little resemblance to humans and more closely matched descriptions of extraterrestrials that would later become standard in UFO accounts, particularly the iconic gray aliens often associated with UFO sightings. According to Huffman, the bodies of the beings were lifeless, possibly killed upon impact. There were conflicting reports about how many bodies were found, with some versions of the story claiming 2 or 3 alien entities were discovered. The bodies were described as around 4 feet tall, with thin limbs, elongated heads, and no visible hair. Their skin was said to be smooth and grayish in color, further contributing to the later association with gray aliens. Huffman allegedly approached the bodies but did not touch them. The wreckage itself was another source of wonder and confusion. According to witnesses, the craft was not a typical airplane or known type of military aircraft. Instead, it was said to be a shiny metallic object, circular in shape, resembling what would later be referred to as a flying saucer. The craft had no visible wings, propellers, or conventional propulsion systems. Some descriptions even mention strange hieroglyphic-like symbols or markings on the side of the object, which further deepened the mystery. As Huffman and others examined the scene, military personnel allegedly arrived on the site, quickly taking control of the situation. The military officers were said to have ordered everyone present, including the minister, to remain silent about what they had witnessed. According to the story, they collected the bodies and the wreckage, loading them into military trucks, and whisked them away to an undisclosed location. It is at this point that the story takes on a familiar element seen in other UFO lore, the assertion of a government cover-up. One of the central claims of the Cape Girardeau UFO legend is that the U.S. government immediately intervened to suppress any knowledge of the crash. According to the account, military personnel instructed all witnesses to remain silent and never speak of the event again. Huffman himself was allegedly sworn to secrecy, under threat of severe consequences if he disclosed what he had seen. This supposed warning of silence is a common theme in UFO conspiracy theories, where witnesses often claim to have been intimidated or coerced by government authorities into keeping quiet. In the years that followed, Huffman reportedly remained mostly silent about the incident, keeping the details to himself, as per the alleged government orders. However, like many of these stories, the information eventually found its way to the surface, though not until decades later and only through secondhand testimony. The Cape Girardeau UFO incident gained renewed attention in the 1990s when Charlotte Mann, the granddaughter of Reverend William Huffman, came forward with details of the story that had been passed down in her family. According to Mann, her grandmother, who was Huffman's wife, had shared the details of the event with her before her death. Mann recalled that her grandmother had told her about the night in 1941, when Reverend Huffman was called to the crash site, saw the strange craft and the alien bodies, and was subsequently warned to keep quiet. Mann's recounting of the story added new life to the legend and helped push it into the spotlight of UFO enthusiasts. She claimed that her grandfather had indeed seen alien bodies, and that the story had been quietly passed down through their family for years. While Charlotte Mann did not have direct knowledge of the event, her testimony contributed to the overall narrative and led to more speculation about the possibility of a pre-Roswell UFO crash. Like many UFO stories from this era, one of the primary criticisms of the Cape Girardeau incident is the lack of physical evidence. No official records, photographs, or other documentation exist to substantiate the claim that a UFO crashed in Missouri in 1941. Most of the details about the incident come from secondhand accounts, such as Charlotte Mann's retelling of her grandmother's story. This reliance on oral history makes it difficult to assess the accuracy of the claims. Furthermore, given that the event supposedly occurred in a remote area and was immediately controlled by military personnel, no concrete evidence, such as wreckage or alien bodies, was ever presented to the public. This absence of hard evidence has led skeptics to dismiss the story as a fabricated or exaggerated tale, while believers argue that the government's swift intervention ensured that no trace of the incident would remain. The Cape Girardeau UFO incident shares several similarities with other well-known UFO cases, most notably the Roswell incident of 1947. In both stories, witnesses claim to have seen a downed flying saucer, alien bodies, and a subsequent military cover-up. The reports of strange symbols on the craft's surface also bear a resemblance to descriptions from the Roswell crash. Additionally, the involvement of the military in both cases feeds into the broader narrative of government suppression of extraterrestrial encounters. It's important to note that while the Cape Girardeau incident predates Roswell by several years, it did not receive significant attention until long after Roswell had become a cultural phenomenon. As a result, some skeptics believe that the Cape Girardeau story may have been influenced by the Roswell case, with details from the later incident retroactively applied to the 1941 event. As with any extraordinary claim, the Cape Girardeau UFO story has faced significant skepticism. Critics point out the lack of contemporary evidence and official records, suggesting that the story is either a complete fabrication or a heavily embellished version of a more mundane event, such as a military test gone awry. Skeptics argue that without any physical proof or corroborating documentation, the story remains little more than a local legend. One alternative explanation is that the crash may have involved an experimental military aircraft, possibly part of the burgeoning war effort in the years leading up to the U.S. entry into World War II. This would explain the presence of military personnel at the scene and the secrecy surrounding the incident, without requiring the involvement of extraterrestrial beings. However, proponents of the UFO theory argue that the descriptions of the craft and the bodies do not match any known technology from that time period. Despite the lack of hard evidence, the Cape Girardeau UFO incident remains a fascinating part of American UFO lore. Its alleged occurrence in 1941 makes it one of the earliest reported cases of a UFO crash in the United States, and the involvement of a respected local minister lends an air of credibility to the story, at least in the eyes of some believers. The later testimony from Charlotte Mann further solidified the event's place in the annals of UFO history, even if it did little to resolve the many unanswered questions surrounding the case. Like many other UFO stories, the Cape Girardeau incident raises questions about the possibility of extraterrestrial life, the role of government secrecy, and the reliability of eyewitness testimony. While skeptics remain unconvinced, the story continues to intrigue those who believe that we are not alone in the universe and that perhaps the truth is being kept from us. Whether or not the Cape Girardeau UFO crash ever really happened, its legacy lives on as a compelling mystery that blends folklore, conspiracy, and the enduring human fascination with the unknown.